three key concepts for you to keep in mind whenever you talk to a seller and you're wanting to get seller financing. And these are just basic concepts, but I think because of that, a lot of times they're overlooked. And so if you can keep these three things in mind, it'll make you much more successful with sellers. Number one key is to be a listener. All right. So too often when we're talking to sellers and we're trying to make that offer, we feel like we have to convince the seller. And so we end up doing a lot of talking. Maybe we're talking about the house and all the work that it needs. Or maybe we're talking about ourselves and our business and how reliable we are and how they know we'll make the payment. Really, we should be doing the opposite. We should be very quiet for a bulk of the conversation, and we should be just listening to that seller. When they stop talking, we should ask more open-ended questions to prompt them to talk more. All right, so that gives us, there's a couple reasons that helps us, and really it helps them too. So one reason is that we get more information about them, their motivation, and their specific situation. And so we can cater our offer specifically to their situation and what outcome they want, right? What their pain point is. So the more we know about their situation, the better we understand it, the better we can make the offer, which is very good for us and them. Number two, we need to sit on the same side of the table. And I don't mean this literally. That could be kind of awkward if you constantly try to sit on the same side of the table as the seller, because generally if there are two of you, you sit on opposite sides of the table. Then I'm referring to, let's say you meet the seller at the house and you sit down at the kitchen table to negotiate or sign that purchase contract, which is how it usually ends. Physically, you end up sitting on opposite sides of the table, but you don't ever want the conversation to feel like you and the seller are on opposite sides of a negotiating table, and there in the end is going to be one winner and one loser, right? So we always want the situation to feel like, even though physically you're on opposite sides, perspective-wise, you should both be on the same side of the table. So the discussion is, how can we work together to solve this problem for the seller? So the seller wants to get on the other side of this sale, right? They have this pain point. They want to get rid of the house. We as an investor want to buy a house, but we have certain criteria we have to abide by. We have to purchase by or abide by, however you want to say that. So we need to be able to have a good deal, get a good deal, because for us, it's about the numbers. And for the seller, it's about their motivation and their pain point. So the more we are working together and we are in this together, trying to solve this problem together, the better that discussion's gonna go. Number three is to reduce the objections of the seller. And in reality, the best way, anytime you are bringing up something new, to most sellers, for them to finance the sale of their own property, that is something new. It's unfamiliar, right? So for most sellers, it's uncomfortable and they have a lot of internal objections naturally. You bring up the idea and automatically they think, what if he doesn't pay? What if he doesn't take care of the property? What if he rents it to somebody who doesn't take care of the property? They have a list of things that could go drastically wrong quickly. So basically, there are two ways to address this. And you don't want to wait for them to bring it up. Because if they bring it up, it feels, if you wait for them to bring up their concerns, it will feel like a confrontation. How do I know you'll pay? And then you're defensive. Well, I pay this way and I have this history, and however you want to justify it. All right. So the better way, the much, much better way, the way that we should do it, or you should do it, is you bring it up beforehand. before they have to state their concern, you bring up that concern. So you can do that by saying, other sellers I've purchased properties from with seller financing were initially concerned about how I would make their payment, but they were thrilled to get that payment on the first of every for the last 3 years or 5 years, or however you want to address it, so that you explain to them they will get their payment and what your history is. So those are 3 really key things for you to keep in mind anytime you are talking to a seller and you're looking for seller financing. So it really, if you go back to those 5 benefits of seller financing, it is in the seller's best interest to give you financing in a lot of situations. So you should not be shy in making seller financed offers. So I encourage you, if you are not familiar with making seller financed offers, the next time you make an offer, include the all cash offer, but also include a seller financed offer, just to see if that meets their need better than the all cash. I hope that helps. I encourage you to get out there and start making more offers today.